play-by-play man for the Arizona Wildcats football team. Brian, welcome to BYU Sports Nation.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's great to be with you.
There are so many things happening for both of these teams right now in terms of coaching changes and quarterback competitions and a neutral site game at an NFL stadium. We're 11 days away. What is the number one most discussed topic about this BYU-Arizona game in the Phoenix metro area and in Tucson?
Well, I think a couple of things come to mind. Certainly a great old rivalry between a couple of mountain schools. I think that comes to mind. You probably hit it on the head more than anything, and that is the mystery that both teams have going into this game. Arizona's changes on defense, BYU's changes throughout its entire coaching staff, and what's going to happen. Normally, I think coaches, if they had their druthers, probably would like to start, playing against East, Southwest Dakota State in their first game, and instead, here we get a couple of outstanding football programs facing off in game one. So both teams have got to be obviously ready to go. They can't just ease into this thing, and so I think that's it. You don't see, other than those. Some of those TV games that are set up, you don't often see an opening game like this. So I think that's bringing a lot of excitement, certainly a lot of anticipation. The coaches are probably nervous as all get out because, again, they don't know what to expect from the other guys.
There's a lot of conversation about ticket sales with this opener. BYU, I think, maybe a little ahead of Arizona, it sounds like at this point. Is there concern that there will be more BYU fans than Arizona fans at this game?
Well, I know that's been talked about for a number of months here, and so until we get into the stadium, I guess it's hard to know. One of the things here is that a lot of Arizona fans aren't buying their tickets through the Arizona ticket office because there's many Wildcat fans in the Phoenix area that they're buying them directly from the stadium. So
sure,
it's kind of hard to get a real gauge on it. But BYU's got such a great following. That it doesn't surprise me at all that they're going to have a huge crowd there. And I think the Arizona fans, this is a walk-up school. They will sell 4,000 tickets on game day for a typical home game here in Tucson, and so you may see a lot of folks buy their tickets on game day. I just hope it's a great environment. Love to see 50, 60,000 people there because it'll just make the entire environment that much better.
Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats, with us on BYU Sports Nation. In terms of which quarterback Arizona's new defense is preparing for when you look at Tanner Mangum and or Taysom Hill, which BYU quarterback keeps you and, the coaches at Arizona up the most at night?
Well, I'll take myself out of that because I have to, in my job, kind of get ready for both of them. And, I see a guy that got hurt obviously early last year that had won the job, but then it's not often that you see, the next guy come in and put up numbers like that. So I'm looking at them both kind of on an equal basis. And, I'm guessing that maybe the BYU coaches are looking at the Arizona situation the same way, where you've got two guys and one's going to start. Both of them could probably play in the ball game simply because I think the coaches want to see what they can both do. And again, that goes into the mystery of this first game, exactly what you're going to see.
Rich Rod has talked about potentially giving equal reps to both quarterbacks there. Anu Solomon, of course, fantastic as a freshman, went to the Fiesta Bowl and then had some injury concerns last year, missed a few games. And then you have Brandon Dawkins in the mix as well. Who do you expect to be the starter, and could there be two guys playing in the BYU game?
Well, my gut tells me that Anu Solomon's going to start, and that I'm not getting that from watching practice or anything. I just feel that he's got the more experience. He's got a better handle of the total offensive package. And going into the first game of the season, I think they would like to have that added maturity out there. But Brandon Dawkins brings a lot of great things to the field. He started and played the Arizona State game last year, although the Wildcats lost that game. Dawkins really opened some eyes, threw for a couple touchdowns, ran for another one. He is probably more athletic than Anu Solomon. He might have a stronger arm than Anu Solomon, but and yet he lacks that game experience and the full knowledge, I think, of the playbook and everything that they want to do offensively. But to answer your question, and Rich Rodriguez has made it pretty clear that we're probably going to see both of them on opening night, and that doesn't mean that it's going to be split 50-50. I think whoever starts will play the bulk of the game, and again, if my gut is correct that Anu Salman will get the start, they want to see Dawkins out there because he just brings a different element to the field, and anytime he can do that against an opposing defense, usually it pays dividends.
Brian Jeffries on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline, the voice of the Wildcats. You can follow him on Twitter at CatsPBP. Rich Rodriguez was recently quoted as saying tackling was very poor last season and wasn't very good during Saturday's scrimmage in Tucson. Is tackling an issue right now at practice?
Well, I think certainly the scrimmage on Saturday that popped up, and what has occurred is that they went through a lot of injuries last year, and every team goes through injuries, and I've been around this game long enough. I think Arizona probably had more than its share a year ago, and so they really kind of backed off on full contact because they had to try and keep some guys healthy, and I think they've gone into this fall camp with somewhat the same attitude where they're trying to protect the people that they have. I mean, let's be honest, guys. I mean, Arizona's defense, as you mentioned, was not very good statistically a year ago. And they have a lot of the same guys back, but they have some new faces. They obviously have a new scheme. But the one thing that this team lacks is depth on the defensive side. And so without that, they really can't afford to lose too many guys going into the season opener. And so I think they're trying to be careful in that area. That can hurt you, as you just mentioned, because if you're not playing full speed, at least on a regular basis, you're going to find yourself, probably in a tougher situation going into opening night. So we'll see. I think a lot of it may have to do it. I think from the positive side, Arizona's got a different defense that they're going to put out there. I will say this without, divulging any secrets, that it's going to be more of an aggressive and attacking defense that was played before. And as you mentioned, I'm sure the BYU coaches are looking at a lot of Boise State tape because it may look like that. But again, you've got different personnel here. So I think we're all kind of just anticipating, excited to see what they put on the field September 3rd.
What is a realistic expectation in terms of number of regular season wins for Arizona this season? Because expectations are funny. When you have a new defense, I know that people love Rich Rod and his offensive prowess, but what do you think Arizona fans are looking at in terms of a number of wins this season and say, yeah, that was a good season?
Well, let's put it this way. The Wildcats have been to 4 straight bowl games, which is unprecedented in school history. And so to make it to 5 straight, I think, would be the expectation. The program has gotten to this point now, and Rich Rodriguez has established something. He's got a great track record. I think the fans here, expect them to win those 7 games or more and make it into another bowl game this year. They have an advantageous home schedule. After BYU on a neutral field, they've got Grambling State, Hawaii, Washington, 3 straight at home. They've got Stanford at home this year. They've got their rivalry with Arizona State at home. They've got USC at home. And so given that, and the Pac-12, as you guys probably know, has an unbalanced schedule. So this is the year that Arizona gets 5 home games, 5 conference home games, and 4 road games. So that always plays into any team that has that schedule. It plays into that team's favor. So put all that together, and I think that the expectation is this team should be in a bowl game. And obviously, if things fall together, they stay injury-free, the defense improves, we think the offense is going to be as good, if not better, than it has been, then this team can start looking at, even higher expectations. That means, a bigger profile bowl, et cetera.
Brian, it's been great to talk to you. You have a few more days to prepare for either Tanner Mangum or Taysom Hill, and I'm sure you'll put those to full advantage.
Well, it's great. I can pronounce both their names, and from a play-by-play, viewpoint, that's all that matters right now. So
That's right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Brian.